It's here with Sudhi and Suchi.
Hello and welcome. It is that time again. Yes, when we say a big welcome to all of you. But I think I already said that. And of course, I'm excited as always, elated, and I'm kind of bouncing, but you're not seeing it right now because I'm going to be talking to the ever so brilliant, ever so great Suchi. She's not wearing a sweater today, so she's not sweater Suchi.
No, not talking to, talking with. Because
talking
this is Hear It Here with Sudhi and Suchi.
Yes.
You are with us on this show wherein you get to meet somebody rather special from Bollywood. Not only that, you get to hear a lot of news like this bit of news.
Which I shall go ahead and open with right now. But I have to ask you, chal baad mein bata diyo Suchi, but how is the role of sweater Suchi going?
Sweater Suchi is doing very well. Aaj sweater nahi pehna hai beta.
Okay, fair enough. That's an identity which we have to keep under wraps.
No, we must.
है ना?
Yes.
अच्छा तो कहानी ये है सुची that Ajay Devgan's film Triple R. Exactly.
Correct.
Alongside Alia Bhatt and Ram Charan Jr. NTR.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
They have decided, the makers of that particular film have decided to release it on Holi, which is 18th of March. Correct? And this shall be releasing alongside or maybe competing alongside Akshay Kumar's Bachchan Pandey. But this might change depending entirely on how the COVID situation is or whatever is the case at that given point in time, how the landscape is. So if that doesn't happen, then they've decided to release it on the 28th of April, which happens to be Eid. But interestingly there, it will be competing with Ajay Devgan's film, Runway 34.
94?
34. Runway 34.
34. Runway 34.
So Ajay Devgan will be competing against his own film. Ajay against Ajay.
My God.
Which will be
से याद आया. शेर सुनाओ.
नहीं. Constipated lion is back again.
No, not only that. शेर से याद आया Tiger. Tiger से याद आया Salman Khan. The news about Salman Khan lately is the fact that one of his neighbors in Panvel, he has this huge big farmhouse, right, in Panvel.
वहीं पे तो सांप ने भी काटा था.
That Saap is starring in Nagin, I think, that next.
Oh, well.
No, but apparently, his neighbor there, a gentleman called Ketan Kakkad, seems to be having some property problems with Salman Khan. Okay. He says that Salman has buried some film stars in that land. I mean, like, hello?
But that's weird, man.
That is really a weird kind of scenario.
Allegation or...
Now, Salman, we know, has buried all of his differences, or mostly with a lot of film stars, that we know about, and I'm sure,
but this is bizarre, man.
This is very bizarre.
It's so weird, na, Suchi, the
laws
that people hate in terms of, trying to prove their point. It's disgusting.
No, seriously. And the thing is, he's talking about people being buried, which means they're dead. Like, Tiger, abhi zinda hai.
How did she come up with... Anyway, so yes, I have to of course share another story with you, which is Sonal Chauhan
pretty girl.
has replaced Jacqueline Fernandez for a film called Ghost. Why is the lion and the ghost looking similar? I'm wanting to understand. Achha, calm down, Suchi.
Bhutaya, bhago, bhutaya, bhago.
You know why that has happened, by the way? It's happened because Jacqueline, unfortunately, has been into some sort of trouble. Because
that
she's
controversy, yes, about
investigated
that
by the ED right now and
Correct.
all of that. So maybe the filmmakers want to kind of keep a distance from that entire situation. Hence, Sonal Chauhan has come into the picture.
Jacqueline's loss, Sonal's gain. Dun, dun. Now, Vani Kapoor has come back into the limelight in a huge big way after Chandigarh Kare Aashiki.
Did you like her performance in the film?
Yeah, she's fantastic. She's really good.
Why are your eyes telling me that you haven't seen it?
I've seen it.
Okay, fair enough.
I've seen it.
Don't look at me like your teacher.
With my daughter.
Okay, got it.
Okay. In this movie, she plays a transgender, and people really sat up and took notice because she played the role with aplomb. But not only that, after that, it's really stood her in good stead because she's now just signing left, right, and center. Not only films but also brands. Yeah, a lot of brands from fashion to jewelry to all sorts of things. They all want Vani to be the face of the brand, and that too after playing a transgender person, which
I thought it was very delicately.
It's a good thing.
delicately handled as well, right? The subject was tough, but I think it was fairly delicately handled. What did you think?
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. And I think, both of them, frankly, Ayushmann and Vani. And Vani, for somebody who, she had claimed that she didn't know what Zumba was, she's done a good job. She's done a great job.
We did. You spoke to her. No, I think I spoke to her when I was talking to her.
I spoke to her as well.
I know that. It's not a competition, Suchi.
Okay, fine.
Fair enough.
It is interview time now. It is that time where we get to meet one very interesting hasti, one very interesting personality from Bollywood.
You know what fascinated me about this gentleman, Suchi? We'll of course find out at length when we are going to be speaking with him. Is the fact that he constantly kept honing his art. He always felt that he's still not ready for cinema or whatever is the case.
Yes. And he's been an inspiration to many, and he will definitely inspire you. Presenting Adil Hussain.
Fabulous.
Here with Sudhi and Suchi.
Another episode of Here with Sudhi and Suchi, and we have somebody who I'm sure you're all going to love.
Yes.
We already love him. We've seen him in a plethora of films, and you name it, whether it's stage, whether it's film, whether it's international work. We've seen him.
Stand-up comedy.
Stand-up comedy. Yeah.
That's an area which I would love to explore.
About Adil Hussain, welcome to Hear It Here.
Hey.
Thank you so much.
Honestly,
Lovely.
Before we kick things off, it's a true honor having you on the show. And I just want to say this, usually Suchi and I we never look into any form of our phone or anything to refer while we're talking during the interview.
Today we are going to.
But today we are going to.
How many
because
pages?
of the amount of achievements you've got.
It's incredible.
इंसानी तरीके से दिमाग में रहेगा नहीं, तो we'll have to keep going back. And I don't suffer with a goldfish syndrome like Suchi does at
Keep
times.
quiet.
This is 30-second memory.
What's rubbish? Excuse me. Right. But before anything else, Adil, ki khabar?
Kumal, Bapre Bap.
Takabi.
Come. Bhat kam, mas kam, sab kam.
I used to be married to a half Akhomya. Therefore, I know a bit. Yes.
Oh, I see. Wow.
I know my ex-mother-in-law was Lily Das Malik, All India Radio.
Yes. Of course.
So that was my mother-in-law, yes. So
yeah, but I mean, kicking things off since you've done so brilliantly as always, Suchi, to kind of start from the roots, the beginnings, sir.
Yes.
And it was, the first thing that actually jumped out at me when I was obviously going through everything that you have achieved, all your accolades and everything. I think the first thing that Suchi and I discussed was the fact that even after having done so much of theatre, NSD, I mean, you had a scholarship to England where you studied theatre again. But strangely, you never ran after, which is usually the case, to kind of run after the film industry or say that, okay, listen, I've done so much now it's time for me to get into cinema.
Right.
That was interesting. It's just something which was very, I wouldn't say strange, but I just thought it was very interesting. So what was that like for you?
I don't know. I just fell in love with theatre, and I had been wanting to get into film since my childhood after watching Bachchan Saab and Shatrughan Sinha and Dharmender in the town, the smallest town that I grew up. There was one cinema hall, and so I always would imagine myself there singing songs around the trees and all that. And then I saw a film called Papillon or Papillon.
Yes.
And I thought those actors were picked up from the street by the director. And I didn't know they were actors, Dustin Hoffman, Stephen McQueen.
Right.
And then, of course, those days, in early 80s, no Google, nothing. So I had to really work hard to find out some information about those actors. And one of the actors in Assam, he had been in touch with sort of the global scene way more than the rest of the people. And he said, no, Dustin Hoffman is a very famous actor. Okay. Then I sort of got so influenced by the kind of transformation this person sort of had in the film. And I decided that, okay, if I want to be an actor or I would like to act in films ever, I need to be an actor like this guy. And then NSD came, NSD happened, and there, and so before I joined NSD, I did a lot of Assamese films.
Yes.
Yes.
I did radio plays. That's how I know of
Right.
your ex-mother-in-law.
Yes.
You know, I did video films. I did cassettes, and you know, the first video film ever produced in Assam. I was one of the lead actors.
Wow.
Wow. What was it called?
Telefilms. It's called Yug.
Yug.
Yeah.
Right.
And then telefilms and TV series like just started in Assam. And then I came to NSD.
Stand up as well, sir.
Stand-up comedy for 6 years. I used to.
Years. Wow, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Was that in Hindi or English
Or
Assamese?
Assamese.
Wow.
Assamese, yes.
Yeah.
And so I was one of the 4 members.
Right.
It used to be a group of 4, and we used to mostly do political satire, not comedy,
Okay.
not political satire.
Okay.
And they say that we were covertly responsible for the fall of 2 governments. Dangerous people.
Yes.
Wow.
And I love the laugh after that. It was like,
So when I came to NSD, and the first session started at 8 o'clock in the morning, 1993, May 15th, I still remember. And then the teachers I had, like started with Khalid Tayyabji, is one of my most favorite teachers. Then Robin Das, Anamika Aksar, Barry John, Nasiruddin Shah, Arjun Raina, Niva Joshi. So all they have sort of shaped my worldview about, perspective about acting. And I fell in love with theater.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So after I graduated, I again wanted to learn more about acting, realizing that I'm not even in the middle of the ocean of acting, but I'm on this side of the sea.
Yes.
Wow.
So I got a scholarship. I applied for Charles Wallace Trust scholarship. I got that. I went to the UK, studied in Drama Studio London, came back, and still I felt I know nothing about acting. And that was 1994.
Wow.
Then I started working with Khalid, and for next 6 more years I trained. So I entered into training in 1990, and I did my first play in 1999.
Wow.
Oh my God. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, and that play sort of established me in myself. Forget about established me in the theater scene, but established me in myself, that I realized, okay, I can act decently. When Nasir came to see the play in Habitat Center.
Was this Othello, sir?
Othello, correct.
Yeah, it was.
And that also got rave reviews in the in Edinburgh Festival, and we got the Fringe first, and I got the review of my life by Scotsman and the Independent, the newspapers.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, I can act decently, and that fear of not being good enough sort of left my shoulder. Yeah, and then so I continued doing theater, and of course, very little money. I had always 100 rupees in my pocket, and
That's
and
always
then
the theater.
That's
We all
always
know
it.
that.
Yeah.
We love it so much,
Yeah.
but we can't live on it. Yes. Yeah.
So that's the reason that I just never felt like going to Bombay to chase after films. To answer your question, that's why I said that the kind of writers that I had worked on in terms of the text written by Chekhov and Goldoni and Kafka and Shaw and the world-class quality writing. And then when I see those days Hindi films in 90s, I'm like, oh my God, no. I can't do this, Doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani.
This was actually this was actually Samuel Beckett's line, which nobody knows this, but
तुम्हें भगवान के लिए छोड़ दो तो मेरा क्या होगा?
You're not understanding. This was Beckett at his best. Beckett at his best. Doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani.
Yeah.
So it just felt that to diminish the possibility of exploring the art of acting, and I just didn't have the guts to do it. It's not that I was looking down at it. I just felt that I can't do it.
Which actually brings me to that point, which is this. Suchi, I don't know if you'll agree with me or not. You're a performer, a fabulous performer. I am still trying. So yes, it's a work in progress.
Okay.
Yes. By the way, it wasn't waiting for Godot. It was waiting for the cow. And then he later on changed Doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani. Yes, yes, sequencing for, yeah.
Yes.
That was a move point.
Okay.
Sorry.
Quiet.
मैं ये सुन के cow dung रह गया. Sorry. So yes. But what I was saying was that as a performer, right, there is this need in a big way to be on a stage, for that matter, or on a platform. You want to perform.
Yes.
You want to kind of go out there and put out your skill set to the people, and fine, you get brickbats, you get appreciation, but there is that, जिसे कहते हैं ना, वो अंदर से एक खुरक होती है, where you want to do
Acting
it.
ka keeda. That's how they say.
But interestingly, whatever you were just sharing with us, sir, you never really had that in a big way to say that, Acha yaar, I'll do it now, I'll do it now, I'll do it.
No, I think, Adil, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the way you've approached your career and the way you've approached your training, etc., you were willing to wait, or were there frustrating periods?
Yes.
Where you said, "Nahi yaar, I want something to happen now."
No, I was busy acting, and the only thing which happened was that one day one of my dear friends, Royston Abel, he's a great theater director, and he was my I would say that he was my savior. You know, he always had a room for me in his house called Adil's room. And his wife would cook for me. And so one day I woke up in the morning and I went to the living room. He was reading newspaper. I said, I think I should earn some money, no, Roy? He said very gently, not looking up from the newspaper. I said, it's a good idea, darling. So what I did, that was 2001.
Right.
And I called a friend of mine who was my teacher, Arjun Raina, and he asked me to come over to his house in Gurgaon. And he said, I will train you as a voice and accent coach, and you will train the trainers for GE Capital, who will train the back office, call receivers, executives, as they say. So I started doing that job, and they paid me 30,000 rupees a month. And then something happened. One of my very close friends called Dilip Shankar, he offered me a role in a BBC World Service series called Adils Beginnings.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. And then they offered me, it's a huge amount of money in 2001, 3 lakhs rupees a month, which was like, wow.
Yeah.
And there where I had to speak all these doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani, nahi hoga, and all that.
Yeah.
So I did that for 2 years. And then I couldn't anymore. So the third season I refused to do, and they thought I needed more money. I said, no. I don't need more money. I just want to take it easy.
अब दूध का दूध और पानी का पानी हो गया.
So I retired myself. I went to Hampi. And I stayed, on a river island I went there for 6 months, ended up staying there for almost 2.5 years. Training myself again, and some other students of mine when I used to teach in NSD, they joined me and we experimented on the craft, like the body and the voice and the breath and all that. Yeah. And 2008, something very interesting happened was that Abhishek Chaubey, who came to know about me, and he sort of sent his emissary, Hani Trihan, who sent his assistant, Yogi, who was my co-actor in Jasus Vijay, that Adil bhai ek acha script hai, aapke layak hai, aap shayad karna chahoge isko, so I'm sending a scene and you should, record it. I said, I don't have any recording machine like camera and all that. I said, no, I'll send somebody. So he sent a cameraman to my house, and I leave for NSD at 8 o'clock in the morning. I've already gotten married by then. And so he came and shot a scene, and my wife played the other character on camera. And then after a week, he decided to come to meet me in Delhi after he came to know that I can't come to Bombay. And I said, I can't because I can't afford a flight, So he came and he asked me, why aren't you in Bombay? I said, tell me, why should I be in Bombay? Because the kind of films you guys make, I don't watch it myself. Why should I be in them? So he said, no, I said, no, I know. Not all films are like that.
Like that,
but there is no guarantee that the good films that you guys make, I will be there. There'll be a role for me. So then how would I survive in Bombay? Here in Delhi, I can go and teach in NSD. I can sort of survive.
Yeah.
Sure.
So then he agreed upon 3 conditions I gave: that I need rehearsals, I need co-actors to be present behind the camera when I give my close-ups, and I want this film to be sync sound. He said all 3 are agreed upon. So that's how I did my first film.
Okay.
And he kept his promises all along.
All of them.
And so that film became popular, and I kept getting calls after that.
I love the humility. I love the humility.
2012.
No, what do you mean humility?
No, the humility.
That's the truth.
It did well. I mean, it will be.
It did well. Yeah, it did well. Wasn't it true?
No, but the way you just said it, right? It was just a little.
In 2012 was another big year for you, and after that, I think 2015 was another huge year for you. But you had many releases, right? In 2012, when we all got to see you, of course, in Meera Nair's film, and of course, Life of Pi as
right,
well, the Reluctant Fundamentalist,
yes,
and The Life of Pi. Tell us a little bit about that whole Hollywood journey thing. Moving then from what you were doing at this point here, and then when it all suddenly came up.
It just happened. I had no idea when I got a call from Dilip Shankar again, who is a casting director and my dearest friend. He said, Adil, are you free tomorrow afternoon to read a scene? I said, yeah, sure. Would you like to have the scene before you come? I said, yeah. So he never told me it's about Ang Lee's film or something. And then I read, I'm like, oh, wow, this is Ang Lee. Wonderful. But a few days before that, I read something on the newspaper that, somebody called Sonu Sood was being, for this particular role or something. So I was like, but this role is cast. They said, no, it hasn't been cast yet. I am casting. I was like, oh, okay. So I came and to his place, he shot me on his camera. He played the, other characters himself. And then after a week, I get a call in the middle of the night. Probably they forgot the time difference between New York or LA and
how unprofessional.
India.
But yeah, we'll get into that a little later.
later. I'll bitch about them. A.V. Kaufman is the casting director. He said, hi, Adil, how are you doing today? I was like, good. I said, it's tonight at 12 o'clock. All right, I'm sorry, I forgot about it. And all that happened. And he said, would you like, Ang Lee wants to meet you on the 6th of December at Taj Lens. And would you be interested to come? I said, yeah, sure. Absolutely. And then I met him, and after a week, I got a call from the production guy from India and said, this is the amount of money you'll be paid. I was like, okay. I would have done it for free. Okay, I'll do it.
I think I'll be texting Mr. Kaufman right away.
Yeah.
And that happened, and Meera and I know each other for a long time, since '92, because she auditioned me for her film, which never happened, called Buddha.
Yes.
In the lead, she auditioned me, and so that got shelved. And so when she approached me for this one, I said, yeah, Meera, anything for you. I love her, and it's a small part, but it was a very interesting part. So I did that, and then English happened.
Yes.
That was amazing. That was her return, right?
Yes, that was, and it was beautifully.
Was there apprehension from Sridevi? The way she, when she was back on set.
So Balki called and sent me a scene, and I was in Pondicherry, and I recorded that scene. A friend of mine recorded for me, and I sent it. And next day he calls, Adil, you're in, and we would like to work with you. I said, great. So I came for the look test, with Sridevi, and first time in my life I'm meeting her. I grew up watching her. She's my age.
Yeah.
And she started working at the age of 13. So, I'm a teenager, and she's. So all that, and I was like, okay, here she is. And so when I first met her, I said to her that, I saw Sadma when I was in probably college, I forgot. And I could not eat for like 2 days. She instantly had moist eyes. And I was like, wow. Realize that how sensitive she is and how vulnerable she is. And it was such a pleasant and brilliant experience working with her as a person, as a creative, person, as an actor, and and all that. And she has deep respect for her co-actors. I was pretty much I became a fan again.
Yeah.
That was so beautiful.
And it was such an amazing film. I mean, it was so
so
poignant,
nice.
and
It was so,
just so
from the heart.
beautiful.
Yeah, it was really, really
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
So I definitely wanna kind of dig a little deep with the fact that the kind of training, I mean, you've had and all of that has happened. You've done a myriad of roles, right? It's from a cop to a husband to all of that. So in terms of that preparation, do you still get that sense of excitement still as a performer? Because of obviously the skill set and the technique and everything that you got, it's probably pretty much a part of your DNA now. So does that kind of spark off that entire little current again every time you kind of get into that preparation aspect?
Yeah, in other words, what is your process?
Yes. Yes. That's why Suchi's on the show.
I'm Sandy's friend.
Yeah. I was just trying to go ahead. Yeah, I was just trying to kind of, theorize it and kind of, get into that entire aspect. But Suchi's like, shut up. What's your process?
That's a good one. And I think not for every role, because some roles are written so broadly and very nuances are not there. So I'm like, okay, should I spend time on this? Yes, I do spend equal amount of time and effort and honesty and sincerity, and I try to dig deeper into it so that something comes out of this very cliche, and stereotype role.
Right.
Like recently, I played something very interesting, and I didn't know how to do it. So most of the roles which I get, thankfully, I get all kinds of roles.
Was it?
And
I mean, something
that I had to work on.
Okay.
To get all kinds of roles, because once I played, not once, twice I played cops in 2 films,
right.
and then I got like offers of cops.
Lutere was another one.
Correct. So Lutere, and then I did a film called Mayor Charles, and something else. That's an independent film, so probably very few people have seen it. So, but Lutere and acha humko ek police officer mil gaya. Another Iftikhar Sahab or another Ramesh Dev mil gaya. Abhi to inko banana padega. Inke ghar mein 25 police officers ke costumes honge, and people will come. Acha ye pehno ya ye pehno. So I know that trap. So I put a moratorium on playing cops for next 5 years, unless it's the lead role.
Sure.
Okay.
So anybody who came, who offered me cops, I'm like, is it the lead role? Sir, nahi, ye to police officer.
Thank you.
So I had to be really very, very adamant about it. And then thankfully in independent roles, they saw me who has the imagination to see one actor. Oh, if he can do this way, he probably would be able to. I remember an interaction between a very famous casting director who met me in a hotel restaurant in Bombay. I don't want to name the film, but it's a big film, and one of the big superstars playing the lead, and I was supposed to play the villain. So she came and met me, and she said, "Oh my God, your eyes are so kind. How will you play the villain?" I'm like, "Oh, but I can act."
that was a Suchiism. That was what it was.
I just short answer, but I can act. And she said, but still, I'm like, up to you, That's it. So because somebody else was like, thank God, I don't want to act. So it took me quite a while to sort of allow myself to be vulnerable, and then probably they started now seeing me as that, oh, this guy can play tribal from, like with Tilottama. I just did a film with Gautam Ghosh, which she got a Best Actor award in Germany. I got a Best Actor award in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Like recently, in fact, another big production house had been approached by the director that I want Adil in this role, and the production house said, but he's so urbane. I was like, okay.
But I can act.
I can act. I mean, I understand where they come from because they probably have just seen one film and thought,
Exactly.
okay,
Fair enough.
but that's not a very fair justification because they are supposed to be imaginative, no? I mean, aren't they supposed to be? Because they work in film industry and they're supposed to like think out of the box. And I don't understand that.
I
but
love the
still.
air quotes constantly. Yes, yeah.
So, but having said all that, I think I'm one of the luckiest actor on the planet to be cast in all kinds of roles, including Star Trek, and including playing a tribal in Jharkhand, or in Mukti Bhavan, a clerk in a small town insurance office. So yeah, I don't want to complain.
Remarkable, and I think we are very lucky as an audience.
To see you in all avatars per se. But another avatar that I am very interested in is,
देखिए रिश्ते में तो हम आपके बाप भी लग सकते हैं और सुन हाँ, लेकिन ये सुनने में आया है कि है आप तो कुछ नकल भी करते हैं लोगों की।
ईश बेटा, कोशिश कर लो थोड़ा। हाँ हाँ हाँ।
Then if I were to go into the whole theatre merge, I would have to say, it's I'm trying my Nasir impression. Okay.
देखिए अब तो आपको थोड़ा सा इम्प्रेशंस करना पड़ेगा हमारे लिए।
देखो बेटे, इससे ज्यादा अब क्या बोले हम लोग।
No, we've heard that you're very good at it.
I used to be good.
Come on. Something.
They used to pay me a lot of money. Oh, किस हराम ज़ादा ने यहाँ आने की ज़रूरत की? अगर किसी ने कहने की कोशिश की तो भून कर रख दूंगा।
अरे यार. So
how about like a दूध का दूध, पानी का पानी? Bring things full circle.
tell me.
दूध का दूध, पानी का पानी तो करना ही होगा।
Hi.
Then what is that? तमाम प्लान के मुताबिक।
कमाल किया है आपने ये बोल के।
Then राजकुमार, जानी, तुम जानते नहीं कि हम किस खेत की मूली है?
Oh my God.
Killer.
Yeah, so all kinds.
Yeah. So
Wow.
did you ever? Did you use stuff like that in your stand-up routine?
Yeah. No, but apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
The stand-up comedy was social and political satire. So we used to bring these actors to the stage and ask them about Assam and and about Assamese culture. And they would say something weird.
Would be amazing if you remember anything, sir, in terms of just like a small little bit from there. I mean, it was amazing.
One thing I remember is that we used to do this show on as the flood in Assam. Every year it's a festival kind of thing. So these are the two main actors, and we two junior most ones. I was the junior most, and one was a bit senior to me, but two senior actors who were the brain behind the stand-up show. So they would fight amongst each other on the stage that, I would like to be the secretary. So if I say it in Assamese, nobody's going to understand. So I'm going to imitate their Hindi speaking skill, in Assamese accented. So they will say, हम लोग का एक ठो माने ये बनाना है क्या कहता है उसको all Assam committee to save the flood. So flood में तो फ्लड है क्या दादा? फ्लड ऐसा है कि ये एक तो नेशनल फेस्टिवल है। नेशनल फेस्टिवल में हम 6 महीना पानी में रहता है और 6 महीना में माटी में रहता है। 6 महीना पानी में ऐसा एक जाति है, अहोमिया जाति। दुनिया में एक ही किस्म का जाति है जो उभोसर है। उभोसर means what do you call that? पानी में है। और जैसे मेंढक है, हम लोग वैसा है। 6 महीना पानी में रहता है और 6 महीना माटी में। और पानी में रहते समय हम लोग ऐसे तैरते कल्चरल का आदान प्रदान करते हैं और एक दूसरे को पहचानते हैं। तो क्या सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट चाहता है कि हम लोग और उसके बाद जैसे हम माटी में चढ़ते हैं तो हम मारामारी कटाकटी करते हैं। हाँ, तो क्या सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट चाहता है कि हम 12 महीना मारामारी कटाकटी करें? फ्लैग बंद करने का सोच रहा है। तो हम चाहते हैं कि ये फ्लैग बंद नहीं होना चाहिए। फ्लैग संरक्षण कमेटी हम बना रहे हैं। इसलिए हम प्राइम मिनिस्टर को बुलाते हैं आसाम में। उसको बुलाइए, हमको तो हिंदी मेरा इतना अच्छा है, फिर भी तुम ही तो देन राजीव गांधी यूज्ड टू कम। तो आई यूज्ड टू प्ले राजीव गांधी। अच्छा, राजीव गांधी जी आप आए हैं, बहुत अच्छा बात है। हेलीकॉप्टर में चढ़ के आए हैं, बहुत अच्छा बात है। लेकिन आप ये बताइए, जे हेलीकॉप्टर में चढ़ के और आर्टिफिशियल क्या कहते हैं इसको, टीयर्स, इन हिंदी आई डोंट नो, आर्टिफिशियल आंसू बहा के आप फ्लैग बढ़ाने का जो स्कीम था उसका क्या हुआ? तो राजीव गांधी उससे हमें देखना है जापान का टेक्नोलॉजी इस्तेमाल करके। अरे देखना है तो बहुत दिन से कह रहे हैं, सुनना है, देखना है, कुछ करना है तो करिए ना। So anyway, it used to go like that.
Oh,
It used to be a 1.5 hours performance.
That's amazing.
Adil, I also know, Adil is on the other side that I've at least know of him. You're very into, nature. You love nature. You love going to places where there's a lot of nature to see. Your spirituality, inward. Tell us a little bit about that side of Adil Hussain.
And was Hampi also part of that, something to do with the fact that you went close to nature to explore the art as well? Because you spent almost 2.5 years.
Well, all of it together. I was looking for, I had experienced something miraculous in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have any explanation for that. And I don't want to go
into
detail.
No, absolutely.
Very personal thing. And then I met my mentor, spiritual mentor in 2000, who saved my body. I was almost paralyzed below my navel. He fixed me within a night, and I was completely I couldn't speak. And I asked him, how do you do that? And he said, no, it's okay, you come. And then so we started working on each other. He started working on me, sorry, not each other. Working on me for since then till today. I mean, but I could not connect my this pursuit of acting with spirituality. So he sort of brought these two together.
Right.
That it is not a separate path, it's the same path.
Yeah.
It is spirituality is going deeper within yourself, and so is art of acting, to go deeper within yourself, so that you don't operate your characters, the roles that you play, you don't operate from a superficial aspect, not from lesser Adil, but the larger Adil that you have within.
Nice.
So these two sort of came together, and when I was in Hampi, it was a great opportunity for me because there was no running water, no electricity. We had these huts. We made our huts, and then there was this ancient rocks. And if you've been to Hampi, you would know.
Yes,
I unfortunately have not.
Yes.
So those ancient rocks attracted me like hell, and I didn't know why. I felt such deep attraction, almost felt like that I am almost sexual attraction. It's like that's vibrant.
Yeah.
And I used to keep looking at rocks. And then there's this water body, the property that we used to stay is 22 acres land. There's water body, there's rocks, and there's wind, and there's this trees, and bears, and leopards, and scorpions, and snakes, and and crocodiles in the river where I used to take baths every day.
Right.
So to live there in harmony and embodying all these things that I saw, because for me, acting is embodiment of which is apparently not you.
Right. Right.
Apparently, you are separate.
Right.
But because of the spiritual work, I realized that there's nothing separate. It's just an illusion of separation that we see or we perceive. So how is it possible for me to embody or merge with these 3.6 billion years old rocks and trees and water bodies, different kinds of water bodies? So we worked for hours and hours, weeks and weeks and months to just to embody the rocks and the trees and the scorpions and the squirrels and butterflies and plants and flowers. So that sort of brought these two aspects, my search for those billion-dollar questions which Stanislavski had actually asked the actors to ask: who, where, when, what, and why. So these 5 W's, I just extended it in my life. That who am I? And that was asked very profoundly by Ramana Maharshi. And he went with this question to the cave, came out after 6 years, half eaten by insects, and then he started speaking very few words after 6 years. And then when am I? It's the idea of time. Then I started reading Theory of Relativity by Stephen Hawking and Roger Penrose, and then where am I? All that political why, where, and geological where, and geographical where. When is the time, and what do I want as well? So what is my? So all those sort of things coming together. I can't say that I realized something. I'm still in the process of getting deeper, and probably a few inches deeper I had been, and that is keeping me not getting bored of what I do. Because one of my acting teachers, he said that, Adil, you are very good. You are actually brilliant. In 2012, I met him, and he saw one of my films, Italian film that I did in English language, and he saw that, and he said, "You are brilliant, but don't try to be brilliant or good, Adil." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Just try to be truer, because just by being brilliant, you'll be bored with by being brilliant." So truth has no limit how deep you can go. So you'll always be on your toes. So the question that you asked me in the beginning, does it excite? Yes. When I don't know how to play the role, that is the most exciting part.
Yeah. It's amazing, actually, what you just did elaborate on so beautifully. Suchi and I were the other day talking about this, and I think it's so beautifully encapsulates that concept, Suchi, of energy follows thought, right? Yeah. And that is something which is, well, again, a spiritual kind of a rudimentary concept of energy following thought. And you do it so beautifully well, and it just does remarkably kind of, brighten up our days whenever we see you perform. So it's amazing.
Thank you. Yes, exactly.
Thanks to my teachers. I still visit them every year. I go to Pondicherry. I spend at least 10-15 days with him, and I update myself. He asks me questions. He made me see these amazing films that he has curated for last 10 years, 250 films from 1936. And to just, we sit and watch these movies and says, "Oh my God, such great acting happened in 1936. Oh my God, what am I doing now?" I have the treasure trove with me, this hard drive of films, and
Anything else? Any other genre before we wrap up, Adil? Any other genre or which you haven't tapped yet, or which you would love to do?
Which excites you?
I have just ventured into one very interesting genre of I've never played that particular, I would say, genre in India. It's not horror, but it's It's the. Gosh, I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Don't
So.
talk too much about it.
Yeah.
We'll get sued.
Yes. We don't want that happening.
But
I'm
it's
playing a
happening.
70,
Zombie.
70,
Yeah.
70-year-old man, with flowing white beard, and so
Alright.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Ah, Lord of the Rings
Kind
style.
of.
Yeah, we said it, you didn't.
Yeah,
We said
that's
it.
fine.
Not
We,
to-
we can say whatever. Yes. Yeah.
No, but no, all the best for that as well. All the best for that.
Thank
Adil.
you.
Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
that with us. And thank you for being
Thank
on
you.
here.
Honestly,
Yeah.
it's
Pleasure.
been
It's
one
been an absolute pleasure.
sparkling episode. We so thoroughly enjoyed everything.
Thoroughly enjoyed
Thank
chatting
you.
with you. Yeah, thank you.
And I
for
wish
being-
we can bring you back again and again
And
because
we
there's
will.
just so much to talk about when it comes
Yeah,
to you.
and we will. And we
Thank
will.
you.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for
Okay.
being on Hear It Here with Sudhi.
And Suchi, and of
Suchi.
course the most brilliant, I think,
Adil Hussain.
Adil Hussain.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ish, beta kamal kiya hai. Ah.
Hey, oh,
Bye, Adil. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks
bye.
so much.
Bye bye.
Hey, pleasure.
Here with Sudhi and Suchi.
But Suchi, you know what? The political satire bit that he did, apart from
Amazing,
obviously,
no?
that was fabulous,
really
man.
amazing. Yeah, what an actor, and what an amazing human being.
Yeah,
Really, and I've heard
so
that.
humble, na?
Yeah, very humble, and I've heard that from a lot of people in the industry as well. When Adil's topic comes up,
Yeah.
that's one thing that they say universally about him. Just a calm, beautiful soul.
Nice,
So-
lovely human being who's.
Thank
and
you,
it was so
Adil Hussain.
nice when you talk to him about the spiritual bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
quite nice as
Very
well.
nice. राम जी की निकली सवारी, राम जी की लीला है न्यारी न्यारी. Oh, sorry, why are we saying
Nice,
this? Yeah, because we're talking about a film called Ramayana.
Nice.
Okay, now Ramayana
Which is
is
being made by Mr. Montana, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, he's producing it. Nitish Tiwari is the director.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Now this is interesting, okay, because they can't seem to decide whether they want a North Indian Ram or a South Indian Ram.
Ah, interesting. But
Not
there must be a reason or a logic behind it. Can you stop doing that? Ah.
No, the logic behind it. See, the director has met Ranbir Kapoor.
Right.
Okay. Because he feels he'll be a fabulous Ram. Okay. But the idea is for it to be a pan
India
whatever
release.
release. And people, and another actor, Mahesh Babu from the South.
He is somebody who's already been considered for Ram, right?
Yes. So
Fair.
he's in the running as well. So it's between Ranbir Kapoor and him.
Right.
Okay. And he's got a huge following as well in the South, in Telangana.
Right,
So,
right.
so that's why he's also being considered. He at the moment is in preparation for S.S. Rajamouli's film. So he's raring to go.
Sure.
Even with that one. But it would be interesting to see who they finally decide, to take for this film.
Yeah,
But
because as a filmmaker, probably as a producer, Suchi, they must be thinking, right, that to get hold of a much larger audience, because you can have
Yeah.
stars from the south and the north,
And the
so
north.
you can kind of cater to a much larger geographical area.
Exactly. So which would work rather well, because if they were to take the south that
Sure.
angle, and if Mahesh Babu played Ram, it would be interesting to see how he is pitted against Hrithik Roshan, who is playing Ravan. Oh, there we go. Now, he won't be doing that dance in this one.
Acha,
I
fair
think,
enough. Thank you.
he's playing Ravana of Lankesh
Nice.
in this one, and I'm
Nice.
sure it would be interesting to see Hrithik in.
See, when you're not saying Roshan, it's not going the
It's not
entire-
going fully.
Yes,
Hrithik
correct.
Roshan.
Yeah.
Playing that. For those who are listening, he's just doing the Hrithik Roshan dance.
Yes.
Yeah. Playing Ravana in that. Now, interestingly enough, Hrithik can also talk about that particular role, I'm sure, and how it needs to be played, if at all, with Saif Ali Khan.
Because Adipurish apparently.
No.
said- No.
Vikram Veda.
Ah, okay.
Vikram Veda is where Saif Ali Khan is playing Ravan.
Ah, interesting.
Okay, in that.
Right.
Now, I'm sure they'll have a lot to talk about, because Hrithik is also in that film.
Ah.
Yeah. So I'm sure they will have a lot to talk about as far as that is concerned. But more interestingly, now
But
we
I
know
think
that-
Hrithik can play a negative character with a lot of zeal. I think he can.
I think so too.
You know,
yeah,
because
yeah.
he's got that acting expanse to kind of maybe dip into that aspect or angle, and it's a brilliant role to play.
It's a
Suchi.
brilliant role to play, no doubt about that. But since the director has met Ranbir a couple of times, here, and they've also met Mahesh Babu a couple of times there, we will have to wait and watch.
And of course, we'll be updating you in terms of what is happening as far as that film and its ideologies are concerned. Yes.
Okay, so going back into flashback mode now. Just a bit of news about one of the actresses who I totally love. I think she's incredible. Kajol.
Oh man, I completely agree, Suchi.
Okay. Way back in 1995 when Kajol was doing the movie Halchal. Yeah, with Ajay Devgan.
If you actually break up the two words, it's actually quite strange. It's about like a hull and chal.
Hey, chale. No, so she was doing Halchal with Ajay Devgan. Kajol walked onto the set and she looked around and she says, "Where's my hero?" And Ajay Devgan was sitting right there.
Oh wow. And apparently the story continues because she was telling somebody else on set or whatever is the case that she met somebody or saw somebody who's very khadus, and she was of course
no, that is not him.
That is who, Shah Rukh Khan?
Yeah, that's another story. So this is, when Kajol also came on the set, Ajay Devgan was sitting in the corner and she said, "Where's my hero?" And they pointed in he was sitting right there. Yeah.
Serendipitous.
No, serendipitous, yes, but he was right there and saying, "Where's my hero?" And she's not even noticing that this is the hero.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so as she admits, she bitched about him right there, and then the first time she actually saw him. But then, of course, the rest is history. At that point, Ajay was seeing somebody else and Kajol was seeing somebody else. I know who Kajol was seeing at that point in 1995. His name was Karthik because he was studying engineering with me.
Suchi, I'm right here. Why are you talking
Karthik was studying engineering with me. That was her boyfriend then.
It was a little scary
I met
because
her
you
at that
started
point.
looking the other side and started to talk to Karthik. I'm like, okay.
No, two sides on the story.
Okay,
one
fine.
side here, one side here. Wow. Okay. Ajay Devgan was seeing somebody else. And then, of course, the rest is history. The two of them got together. And, it was a wonderful love story. And they have stood the test of time. And it is many years now, since they have been married. What?
Now can I tell my
23
Shah
years
Rukh
of
story?
marriage. Yeah.
23 years of marriage?
23 years of marriage.
Congratulations, man. That is amazing. That is true effort and brilliance.
Absolutely.
Compatibility.
Yeah. No, but Kajol has a thing for being like this, for
Chirpy person.
being chirpy and saying it like it is.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what happened with Shah Rukh.
So Shah Rukh's situation was that he was partying all night and all of that, and this was around New Year's time, and he wanted to work on the first day of the year.
Oh, okay.
So he lands up on set, and unfortunately what's happened by now is that the cameraman has been arrested.
Ayyo.
Why? Because he was driving without a driving license.
Oh no.
So they are trying to figure that out. And Shah Rukh is of course on set and he's trying to read the script and get hold of an entire
and he generally
situation.
keeps himself as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then Kajol of course went ahead and started to say that referred to him as a khadus. So when of course Shah Rukh heard all of this, he went ahead and talked about Kajol as being a peacock because she was so loud. Did I do a good peacock? Don't do the share, please. It is very disturbing.
No.
Okay, fair.
Yes.
So that's how they kind of met, and of course,
so they definitely got off on the wrong foot. But now they are wonderful friends. They're great friends.
Are they not invested with each other in terms of the company, Suchi?
No, that's Juhi Chawla and Shah Rukh.
Acha, right.
Yeah, that's Juhi Chawla.
I thought maybe she also had some stake or whatever. Kajol did maybe. Or maybe
she must have eaten some steak, but I don't think she has steak in the company. Anyway, they've come out with some fabulous films, Kajol and Shah Rukh Khan. We love seeing them together. And
absolutely.
I hope at some point we see them together again on screen, But
Yeah,
for now,
nice.
off screen, she's definitely with Ajay Devgan after a 23-year-long marriage, and they're still going strong.
सुजी अब टाइम आ चुका है कि हमारे को
टाइम आ ही चुका है because I think you've had enough of Sudhi's voice on here with Sudhi and Suchi. You couldn't have had enough of Sudhi's voice on
ये
here.
सुनकर बहुत दर्द हुआ सुची चल तू बाहर चल मैं तेरे को बताता हूँ
चल हम लोग बाहर चलते हैं ये have a bit of a fight but you are here on here with Sudhi and Suchi. We will be back like good pennies. What's it?
Good pennies and with lots more excitement
And very interesting people as well.
Absolutely.
Tata.
Here with Sudhi and Suchi.